But answer my question, you're gay. Hey nerds, welcome back to my channel. Yes, I am back again for some more Lovecraft Country. Today we're going to be talking about episode 7, I Am. But before we get into that, I just want to thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Now let's get into this. This episode opens with Hippolyta surrounded by numerous pages of scribblings and notes, and she is still trying to figure out this orrery. It is so good to see her again. We ain't seen her in a little minute. It cuts back 3 days and we see her standing in the ruins of the Arden Lodge. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about, refer to episode 2. I did a video on it. It's right here, okay? On a piece of rubble, she sees this rainbow symbol, and it's the same symbol that's engraved on the orrery. Dee hops out of the car. She's like, Mom, I got bad juju about this place. We're not supposed to be here. She's also like, what does this have to do with my dead daddy? I don't get it. Hippolyta searches the rubble again, and this time she finds a comic created by Dee, who gave it to George, thus confirming his presence at Arden. Our poor auntie, oh my goodness. Just when she's about to give up, Hippolyta looks at the orrery at a different angle and she figures out how to turn it on. The orrery spins around and it lights up, and the sun pops open to reveal an engravement and a key. This is what the engravement says. Every beginning is in time and every limit of extension in space. Then she's off. Next scene, and we are back to Ruby and Christina. We're in the basement finally, and this is where Christina keeps her lab along with the real life dead bodies of William and Hillary. They were real people at one point. So Ruby's looking at all this and she's like, girl, did you kill them? Christina's like, no, they were dead when I found them. I just turned their blood into a potion. No big deal. You know, regular Tuesday activities or whatnot. And Ruby's not upset about her being a witch bitch and having dead bodies in her basement. She's mad because Christina lied to her about being a different person. Ruby, priorities, love. And Ruby's like, I know damn well you're not using me as some pawn in your revenge plan to avenge your dead boyfriend. So Christina finally explains to Ruby what the Order of Ancient Dawn is and how she cannot gain membership. So then Christina finds William. She seduces him in order for him to teach her the magic so she can impress her father, Samuel. Long story short, Christina don't give a f about nobody. Ruby's like, spill it all. No more lies, no mas. Christina's like, okay, real shit. I need the lost pages of the Book of Names and I gotta get them from your family. The plots have finally met each other. They finally are starting to cross. Cut to the next scene and guess where we're at? Back at the burning lodge in Arden. What? Someone's dreaming again, but this time it's not Tick, it's Letty. She has the same exact dream as Tick though. You know, she's running through the burning lodge, following Hannah with that book in her arms. Only difference is Letty looks down. Honey, she's Nance. She's with child. What happened to dreaming about fish? This is next level. And at the end, she gets barbecued too. She wakes up to find Tick alone in another room. Y'all just look at them. Look at them. They're so cute, they make me want to vomit. I can't, and I won't. Tick tells Letty that he's translated half of the pages, but there's still some missing pieces. He then reminds Letty that Titus and Sam failed at casting these spells and died. Letty's like, well, you didn't, and neither did Hannah. I mean, she took that book and she ran right out the front door. Tick went, how did you know she went out of the front? So Letty tells Tick about the dream she had, and Tick realizes they had the same exact dream. But she left out the very important detail that she was Nance in her dream. Tick thinks Hannah is trying to tell them something or warn them about something. And then finally they have this big doy moment and they realize that that book that Hannah ran out with was the Book of Names. Remind y'all, Hannah is Tick's like great grandmother, okay? Then Letty's like, well, if she took the book, wouldn't that mean there's magic in your family? Then Tick is like, well, here's the thing. I don't know that much about my mom's side of the family, so there could be a possibility. His mom is the only one who survived the Tulsa riots. Christina is chasing a few little funky pages. They're about to get the whole entire book hardcover. Next scene, and we see Montrose waking up in the morning to Sammy in his little kitchen making breakfast for him. Not they playing house. I remember that phase very well. This is a very big stride taken by Montrose in their relationship. After hearing Sammy accidentally ran into one of Montrose's neighbors, he starts to get a little nervous because they're gonna get caught, sneak around. Let me remind y'all, we are in 1950s Jim Crow America in the south side of Chicago. Two black men at that, bumping purses was not the norm, okay? Then Montrose turns into a man baby and starts complaining about the way Sammy cooked breakfast. I don't eat pork, the grits is too runny. Shut up and eat, like you're so ungrateful. Sammy's like, girl, bye. I do not have to sit here and take this. You're not gonna talk to me no kind of way. This is some typical DL behavior. Sammy storms out upset and Montrose is running after him trying to apologize. Then guess what happens after that? They run into Tick and Letty in the hallway at the family reunion. Tick is like, so you are gay. Then Montrose gets defensive real quick. I'm still your daddy. You gon' respect me. You don't call me out my motherfucking name. But answer my question, you're gay. And then also, no you're not. You forget, Uncle George is the father. And then Tick was like, did my mama know you was... Montrose was like, sure did. She knew. They're both very upset and Tick storms out of the apartment. Tick is pissed. Not because his dad is gay, but because his whole life his dad gave him all these beatings and whoopings so he wouldn't turn out a sissy. If that's not hypocrisy, I don't know what is. That is hypocrisy to the 58th power. His own father projected his internalized homophobia onto his child and beat him for it. Montrose, you need your ass whooped. How about that? Belt to ass for you. On the bright side of this very tumultuous situation, Letty found out from Montrose right after Tick stormed off that his mom had a cousin who survived the riot and she lives in St. Louis. She's like, hey, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna take Woody. We're gonna go see your mom's cousin. We're gonna get some answers. How about that? Next scene, and we see Hippolyta getting ready to go on a guide trip. I'm doing this for a reason. Pay attention. And Ruby volunteered to watch Dee while she's away. Hippolyta asked Dee to go over something called the guide trip checklist, and this was a tradition that she did with Uncle George before he passed. Being that her father is now dead, she's like, girl, that checklist. Then Tick and Letty show up to ask Aunt and Hippolyta if they can borrow Woody. Clearly they cannot because she's literally about to drive him cross country. Oh, those of you who are new here and just now getting here, Woody is the family car, okay? And he's literally his own character in this show. She tells Tick that she's going on a guide trip and he's like, no, because we just published a guide not too long ago. So Hippolyta's like, if you don't back up from this car, I do not need your permission to go do guide work. Now back up. Tick knows something is not right. Ultimately, Tick decides to travel to St. Louis by himself while Letty stays to talk to Ruby. Now they ain't spoken since episode 3 when they got into that fight about the mama's muntie. Letty tells Ruby that she feels very terrible about the fight that they had. And she actually takes accountability for how she treated Ruby. All is well now, they are on the mend. Sisters, sisters, there were never such devoted sisters. Now Hippolyta is Kansas bound and she finds one of Dee's comics in her lunchbox. She's writing this comic called Arithia Blue. It's basically this space cadet diva who discovers stuff. And she got blue hair. And she's a black girly blue hair. Got it? Got it. So Tick makes it to St. Louis and he finds his mama's cousin. This woman's name is Birdie. He asks Birdie about the book of names, but she tells him that everything was destroyed in the fires. We're now in Mayfield and the coordinates have led Hippolyta to an abandoned observatory. And she's not there alone. Back to Letty, and she's playing a card game with Dee and her friends. Letty found out that Ruby is still staying on the north side of Chicago, and then she leans in, she goes, oh, so you You shacking up with a white man then? Ruby turned back around and say, yo man still living in that house for the free. Don't worry about what I got going on. Ruby also mentions that she saw Letty and Tick trying to leave earlier, and Letty passes it off as family business. Ruby asks Letty to taste test the dinner, and when she gets a whiff of garlic, in 2 seconds flat, she almost throws up everything but her childhood memories. Then Ruby makes a joke about her being pregnant, and Letty's like, yeah. So Letty runs away to Hippolyta's room to get some space, and then she finds the orrery just going in Hippolyta's bedroom, and she's like, oh my glob, what is this doing here? Back to Tick, and he is looking through some family photos at his mom's cousin's house, and he sees a woman with a birthmark just like his. Letty calls Tick on the phone, and she's like, why does your auntie have Hiram's goddamn orrery in her house? She knows that we lied about her husband's death. Now they both think that Hippolyta's in danger. And then while she's on the phone with Tick, we see Ruby peeking through the door spying on her. Ruby, you were never ever bothered with what your sister was carrying on with, ever. When she got back to town, you might as well have told her go to hell because you really didn't care that much. Now this blonde witch bitch got you spying on your own family and shit. Back to Hippolyta, and she's inside the abandoned observatory, and she finds the spot where the key's supposed to go. It's a key to a machine. A freaking time machine. That's right, my friends. The sci-fi element is about to get heavy in this show. Then we get another demonstration of how Tick's family is just full of geniuses. We see this like little short montage of Hippolyta writing down equations and figuring stuff out. Family full of geeks. I love it. Y'all remember how I said Hippolyta wasn't alone? 2 cops pull up. And not just any cops. These are Captain Lancaster's men. So they catch Hippolyta, and before they have a chance to hurt her, Tick materializes out of nowhere to save his auntie. A fight breaks out, and an accidental gunshot kicks the machine into full gear. Next thing you know, there's a hole torn open in the universe. Tick ends up throwing one cop into a portal while Hippolyta accidentally shoots the other one and kills him. And to make things even peachier, Hippolyta gets sucked into a portal and disappears. Our auntie is falling, free falling through the cosmos. Then she appears on this deserted planet, and then she runs into these 2 robot beings. Then there's a flash of bright light, and then she wakes up naked on a table. This is Alien Abduction 101. Every alien abduction story I've heard has that same exact element. I see the beings, then all of a sudden I wake up in a very bright room and I'm on a table naked. I feel like they're confirming something that may be true. So now she's up and she finds these purple plasma devices that have been embedded into her wrists. She gets dressed and one of the alien robots paid her a visit. Y'all, this being is giving Garnet meets RoboCop. I call her Turbo Garnet, the cuntiest entity we've ever seen. Hippolyta asks, who are you? What are you? This is what the being said.
I am.
Hippolyta says, well, you can't keep me here. I'm not gonna stay in here. Turbo Garnet says, okay, you're not a prisoner here. And then proceeds to lock her in her room by herself. We get another montage of Hippolyta on the brink of insanity while she's trying to figure out where she is. Then she remembers something that Gustavo Mies says, and he warned us about gravity shifts or something of the sort. Hippolyta does some more math, and she starts breaking off pieces of the ship, and she actually manages to get the door open. But then she's stopped by Turbo Garnet. Turbo Garnet says, now Miss Thing, I already told you, you are not in a prison. Chill out. Then she says, name yourself. Where do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Hippolyta thinks Turbo Garnet is around, so she says, I want to be in Paris, on stage, dancing with Josephine Baker. That was until she was actually transported there. And if you don't know who Josephine Baker is, go learn your herstory. Hippolyta is actually on stage as Josephine Baker's backup dancer, and she's messing up the whole routine. These other dancers are rude as hell, and I'm just sitting here wondering, I've always wondered this, like, and this is no shade, were they rude or are they just French? Or is it a combination of both? The actress they have playing Josephine Baker, I couldn't think of a more perfect choice. She was phenomenal for the little time that we saw her. Hippolyta actually spends quite a bit of time in this timeline. So much so, she becomes a pro. Little side note, I love that they scored Lady Marmalade over this scene. It was just too perfect. Not the one with Pink and Little Kim, the one with Patti LaBelle. I just wanted to clear that up. Yeah, she spends so much time in this timeline, she actually becomes close with Josephine Baker. She's found freedom, she's found her identity, and she tells Josephine that back in her timeline, she was the kind of black woman that white people wanted her to be. She flat out says she wanted to kill them for putting her in a box. Hippolyta starts chanting her own name, and then she is transported to Africa. And now we see her in warrior training. It's like she landed right in the middle of Woman King. That's what it looks like. The leader, Nawi, says they've come together to fight for their freedom. It's all women. I want to make that clear. This is an all-woman tribe. These women were promised freedom, but they were still treated like slaves in the end. Then we get this really cool montage of Hippolyta training. Well, Aaliyah say, if she does succeed. It's time for battle, and here come these trifling ass soldiers. Of course, they're men. Hippolyta ends up beheading one of these men in battle, and something primal awakened within me. I forget about that part as many times as I've seen this show. Female rage fully charged. She then tells her tribe of women that they have the right to fight for their freedom. Yes, y'all do. Yes, y'all do. Then she declares, I am Hippolyta, George's wife. She's transported back into her warm bed at home, and in this timeline, our uncle is alive. It hurts every time. I just love Courtney B. Vance and I love Uncle George, so just give me a minute. And just like Uncle George in episode 2, Hippolyta asks, are you real? And as she's laying there with George, she can't help but feel that she had so much wasted potential and she felt small. And George never acknowledged that or recognized that, so it made her feel even smaller. He even acknowledges this and takes accountability for being complacent and, letting her shrink so he could keep her safe and provide her a family. But now, more than ever, he sees her for who she truly is. Uncle George, just at this point, just come back. I need you. The community needs you. Hippolyta then declares, I am Hippolyta, discoverer. Her and George are then transported to an alien planet that looks exactly like the one Dee drew in her comic. Then over this scene, we hear a quote from Sun Ra's, space is the place. Quick sidebar right here, hold on. This is one of the reasons why I love this show so much. Every time I watch it, I discover something new. As I was looking up where this quote came from, I was like, oh, wait a minute. So the quote comes from a movie called Space is the Place, and it's this movie from the 70s that is like just centered in Afrofuturism. It's zany, it's bizarre, it's pro-black, which yes, this is my cup of tea. Like, where has this been? I think Afrofuturism, now that I have rediscovered elements in this episode, that's gonna be my new obsession from now on, is Afrofuturism, so thank you. And now I have a new movie to watch. Hippolyta has now turned into the main character from Dee's comic, Orithia Blue. Here's the comic, and here's Hippolyta now in this timeline. She got the blue hair, y'all. She was Orithia this whole time. Is that crazy? And after her voyage is done, she revisits Turbo Garnet. Look at this badass entity just floating in the cosmos. Natural hair and all. That would be a sickening ass Halloween costume. Should I do it? I think I might. Turbo Garnet is like, now that you've named yourself and you have found your identity, come join us in our society of high level beings. Come with us, girl. Or you can go back to your Earth and go home. Hippolyta seriously considers staying, but then she's like, no, my baby needs me. I need to go home. What a woman. What a woman. So we're thrusted back through the portal, but we don't see Hippolyta landing. We see Tick tumbling out. We also see that he's got a book in his hand. The real question is, when do we not see this man with a book in his hand? Hippolyta hasn't returned yet, and Tick can hear more cops approaching. He looks down at the book in his hand, and the title says Lovecraft Country. Fourth wall break! Fourth wall break! Tick then takes the key out of the machine and escapes. Damn, he got his lick back for Hippolyta leaving them at the museum that one episode. We then see a close-up of Dee's comic resting beneath the dead cop, and that is the end of episode 7. Alright, now that we have ran through the plot of the episode, business as usual, it is time for my thoughts and my commentary. The first thing I want to talk about is the commentary and the conversation of Black people are not a monolith. Now, if you don't know the meaning of that saying, it ultimately means that Black people are not this perpetually uniform collective. We are a unique pool of individuals with different outlooks on life. Hippolyta's journey throughout this episode speaks to that very thing. You saw it. She was anything she declared to be. A star, a warrior, an explorer, a mother, a wife. She spoke it into existence. I speak it, so it shall be. She was not singular in any sense of the word. And to me, seeing Hippolyta assume these roles in these different timelines was a physical and spiritual manifestation of what was already residing within her. This also speaks to the many freedoms offered to us by feminism. Y'all know me, I am a hardcore feminist. Feminism allows us to reach for equality in spaces that we want to occupy, and it allows us to be any kind of woman in that space. I think the show did a great job of showcasing Hippolyta taking up those spaces when she was traveling through different timelines. There's also the conversation on the many challenges that Black women face. Some Black women teeter on the fence, trying not to perpetuate the harmful stereotypes that white society has placed on us while trying to stay true to our identity. Through Hippolyta in this episode, we see the very real and unadulterated liberty that we can reach for and that we can access. This whole episode just screamed, I am woman, hear me roar. And I just realized this, it is Women's History Month, so I feel like, covering this episode was very fitting. I love that the writers took the time to talk about these hard topics when it comes to being a woman, especially a Black woman, and being that the creator is a Black woman herself, like, she gets it. She gets it. She is taking all angles of what we go through, our strengths, our weaknesses, our hopes, our dreams, through each character in the show. It doesn't just leap on to one. We've seen it with Letty. We've seen it with Ruby. Now we're seeing it through Hippolyta. And then next episode, we're going to see it with Dee. But I'll save that for next week. This has to be my favorite episode out of the entire series, and also because every time I watch it I am reminded of how cool I think Afrofuturism is. I'm telling y'all, that's gonna be like my thing for the next 4 months or so. Yeah, this episode is amazing and never fails to leave me in awe. Yep, that is it. That is I Am. So that concludes our video for today. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, and if you made it to the end of this video, comment the Saturn emoji because we was in space and stuff, floating around in the cosmos. And subscribe if you want to. I'll see y'all on the next go around. Okay, bye.